What is an ideal Islamic society? So this is an important
Oh,
question in for the reason whether you're a Muslim or not. It's like I would say I invite people to Islam because I see a beautiful future through it. But what is that beautiful future? And I think is worth defining. And so normally I have a short answer, but I forgot to do one. Someone's going to put a quote from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who's a founder of Islam, but also led an Islamic society. So this is one advice that he gave. When you are placed in authority, act beneficently towards those in your charge and forbear. So that means like be kind to them, but also be forgiving. Don't be all out to attack people. And so that would be very different to most people's idea of an Islamic society. One, um, within that beneficence, there's a lot of important things that people don't realize. So, one is that at the time of Prophet Muhammad, when he first became a leader of the first city, Islamic city, in that city, there were people of different religions. Jews, Christians, and Muslims, and pagans. And for each of them, this was something you would never hear anywhere. I've never heard this before. He would actually have different rules according to their choosing. So normally in a country, there's one law for everybody, right? But in this city, he was so kind. He said, I know you're Jewish. Forget my religious teachings, even though he's a founder of a religion. He said, forget my teachings, your teachings, let's go by that. So if you did a crime or you have an argument with a fellow Jew, let's go by your laws. Well, that's
mm,
beneficence if there was anything. And I've never heard, have you ever heard of something like that before? Where there's a
no.
country with more than one law and a law according to your liking? Wow. And then on top of that, forbearance, he was always ready to forgive. I think there was one situation, again, the same situation where we were talking about where people were given the choice to follow their own law. And so there was a battle and there was a tribe, a Jewish tribe that says, we're with you. And they were covering the back of the army, the back of the city, which is very important. And but then they decided to go with the enemy and say, we will secretly let people in. So at the end of the battle, it had to be dealt with. And the Prophet of Islam was desperate to be kind to them, even though that move by that particular Jewish tribe, and I'm not against Jews at all. I love Jews, by the way. This is not like an anti-Jewish statement at all. That particular Jewish tribe said, what they did was potential death for all of that whole city or all the Muslims in it. But he still wanted to let them off. But he said, what law would you like to follow, mine or yours? And for some reason, I can't remember why, they went with the Jewish law, which was extremely harsh, which basically was to kill all the men. So he was very sad about it. Prophet Muhammad wanted to forgive them. So I'm not sure if that's the best example, but that's the first one I could think of. It's kind of a combination of they chose their own law and he wanted to forgive them. So he didn't really want them to follow that particular law. But anyway, what are your thoughts about that?
In my humble opinion, I believe Muhammad was a genius. If you look up the definition of genius, what is a genius? You read through the Quran, it's incredible. And as for and coming back to the idea of a perfect society, we're striving for a utopian society. I don't think it will happen as today or in the near future. But what I'm fascinated by. Oops, my backing light's just gone. That's it. Excuse me.
That's all right. Thank you.
It's very basic here. The technology here is very basic, but hey, it's amazing what you can do when you have to. So
it looks good.
Mohammed, usury. What happens when you get rid of usury, i.e.,
Or
interest? What happens? Wars stop straight away. There's no more war. And this is one of the things that Muhammad wanted.
So let me just explain to people why does the lack of interest stop wars? Because wars are so expensive, you have to borrow money to pay for them. Is that one reason, or there's different reasons?
Absolutely.
But I
Many,
mean,
yeah.
there are many reasons why interest is forbidden. In fact, interest is forbidden also in Judaism, but anyway, I'm not going to go into that. It's kind of people get around it, but
Yeah.
that is actually an amazing another thing about an Islamic society. We avoid the use of interest instead of interest, which is money lent with the idea that whether you can pay it back or not, you have to pay back more. The
That's right.
Islamic alternative is that people who've got more money, they invest in you, and
That's right.
and if they lose, so banks often give you money, then they don't care if you can pay it back because they're going to take your house. So
Absolutely.
that's a
Absolutely.
terrible system. So
Yeah.
there's so many beautiful things we could say about that. I mean, one thing I had about the Jews, I feel like it needs to be added. The Islamic societies of Islamic Spain, for example, they protected the Jews from the persecution of the Christians. For centuries, they were persecuted, and it was the Muslims who protected them. And the Jews were so sad when the Muslims left Spain.
Wow. It's amazing. See,
So
there you go.
that's an Islamic society. I don't know what else is to ask, but I felt a few things were worth mentioning. Islamic society is not when there aren't any other religions; it's with other religions, hand in
That's
hand.
right.
So, and freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and protecting. I've already gone over time, but actually, in the Quran, it even says you are a martyr if you protect another person's faith.
Yeah. So, and if you get rid of the corrupt bankers, you then get rid of the corrupt politicians, and then you get rid of the corrupt corporations and
Wow.
the military industrial complex. And this is what they're afraid of. This is why they're opposed to Islam. That all has to
Yeah.
go.
Wow.
Under
What a with
Islam, that all must go. And that's what they're afraid of.
brilliant. I mean, so many beautiful things you just pointed out about what would an Islamic society include, and one without all the wars because of this mechanism that you pointed out, which is the lack of interest. But